The FAMtasy draft was an electric atmosphere as 12 players began their quest to the 2021 championship.
I just want to say I haven't picked a quarterback, so all of my family that bet that would be my first pick. Wrong.
So far, so good. Things are going quite well, I think, in my favor. But we'll see. It's the end of the season that counts.
Tough to pick a strategy, but you really got to balance the offense with the defense. You really have to pick players that you think are gonna.
What are your thoughts on the draft so far?
Very stressed out.
How do you feel about your team?
Super.
I don't know.
I was going to take him.
As you know, my name of my team is TB Territory, with Tom Brady or Tampa Bay, and Tom's my man, so I had to have him as my quarterback. I would have disappointed my family if I didn't.
All I can say is, auto draft, here we go. I'm in.
Give me a look at confidence, Will.
I am pretty confident. I'm looking at my team right now. I got Derrick Henry at 7. I don't know if I could be happier.
Congrats on second place again.
To auto draft. I love sports.
I went RB heavy, first 3 picks. I took a chance on Saquon. Hopefully he doesn't blow his leg out again.
Just like your quarterbacks
Just
last
like
year.
my quarterbacks. I haven't taken one yet, but I take 2 back-to-back, so I really just cement having a QB.
It turns out our future champion wasn't even here, while our toilet bowl champion was hiding in plain sight. The 2021 Toilet Bowl champion is a frequent customer in the toilet aisle. Sam's variant strain started the season on a high note with a 3-1 record. It was all downhill from there, losing 9 of his last 10 games. Sam's first 2 draft picks were Devontae Adams and Patrick Mahomes, which created a massive hole at running back once Chris Carson had a career-ending injury. Despite all of his injuries, Sam had a chance to avoid the Toilet Bowl trophy with a win in his last regular season game. He was primed to do so, but instead benched his top 2 players, Adams and Mahomes, and also kept in a player who was out with COVID. Sam went on to lose that matchup by 6 points, and Will got the last playoff spot, a move that stinks of collusion. Here to trade back the trophy to Sam is the 2020 Toilet Bowl champion, Terry Davies.
Hello. Well, it's a bittersweet day for me today, as Tampa Bay Tom Brady territory. I had the honor of winning the Toilet Bowl last year. This year, because I drafted Tom Brady and had the Toilet Bowl, I won. I didn't win the trophy, but I didn't win the Toilet Bowl. So I once again want to thank Tom Brady. It is my honor and privilege to once again pass on the Toilet Bowl to my brother Sam. I think we've done this before, but Sam, it is with great honor that I pass on the Toilet Bowl. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
This is
You're
wonderful.
welcome.
This is wonderful again, and what an honor it is. And I believe
again.
I passed it to you.
I think
So
you
let's
did.
hope we don't repeat this next year. As in honor of the Toilet Bowl, I have worn a brown shirt, matching my brown eyes and
Didn't
my
get the
brown
memo.
shoes. And I am absolutely disgusted that I have this trophy again. I'm sick of winning this trophy. But we try our best. I hope to never see my face on this trophy again, but I'm sure that since I have won it 3 out of the last 5, I believe, Michael, if he is correct in the information, which I'm sure he is, the commissioner is wonderful. I hope I never win it again.
I think that's a dynasty.
It is a dynasty, and I do believe that this should have my name etched permanently on the back. It should be renamed the Sam Migra Flush It Down the Toilet. Bowl award.
To the draft.
Maybe we can get some like brown Cool Whip and put it in this. Anyway, thank you very much for this honor.
It's an honor.
Maybe we can get somebody different in here next year.
Let's hope.
Sayonara. See you in the fall.
Congratulations.
Yes, thank you.
Goodbye, Toilet Bowl.
Thanks, Michael. Commissioner's awesome.
And now back to you, Commissioner.
There's another dynasty in the making in the Fantasy Football League. Max Migra once again overcame the odds to earn his second career title. But Max and his 800 squad had a championship hangover as he started this season losing 3 of his first 4 games. Max responded by winning 7 of his next 8, with the help of Justin Jefferson, Nick Chubb, and Mark Andrews. In the playoffs, Max had a rematch from last season's championship game as he defeated Will by 20 points. The semifinals were way more challenging, with the top point-scoring Type 1 tight ends standing in the way. Wide receiver A.J. Brown set the tone to begin the matchup with 20 points, as he helped Max hold on to win by 5 points and advance to the finals. Fantasy Bowl 9 was once again a brotherly bowl, this time against Carter and his clever team. Max, the all-pro general manager, put running back Eli Mitchell in his flex spot and earned 19 points. It was a big move that was exactly what he needed to win the big game by 8 points. Max earns his second ever fantasy championship and becomes our second back-to-back champ in the process. This offseason, Commissioner Davies wanted to kick back and reminisce with Max over a couple drinks at the turn. And now, your league commissioner. Hello, family, and welcome to the 2021 Fantasy Football Trophy presentation video. I'm Commissioner Mike Davies. 2021 was a 4-team race. Myself and Liz were the top 2 seeds that dominated most of the regular season, but there was a familiar face sitting in the leads, along with Carter, in 3rd and 4th place. And once the semifinals came, the Migras overcame the Davies, and there was our 3rd installation of the Brotherly Bowl. And once again, for the 2nd year in a row, Max Migra is your champion. And for the 2nd time in 4 years, we have back-to-back champions, even though it never happened before that. So, because he won last year, and because he won this year, we have a nice intimate setting for today. It's 2 guys talking sports. So without further ado, let's bring in the champ, 2-time champ, Max Migra. Welcome, bud. How you doing?
Doing well.
That's fantastic. Well, before we start, I just want to give my good friend here a cheers. There you go. Cheers, bud.
Cheers.
Thank you for coming to the turn today.
Thank you for having me.
It was a while ago, but it was a pretty decent season for you, and it all started at the draft. You weren't here for the draft, actually. Most of us were. You had an obligation to be at a wedding. And how were you able to draft? I know, obviously, the draft's online, but how did you manage that, and what was the timeline like for you?
So, pretty early on, I knew that I was not only going to be at the wedding, but I was actually a groomsman in the wedding. So I knew I would be in it. So I was trying to figure out the timing of the wedding, to make sure we weren't in the ceremony portion of the wedding when we were making this draft, because I knew if that was the case, I probably wouldn't have been able to draft.
Probably.
Because as understanding as my friend was, as a fellow fantasy football player, he probably would not have enjoyed, his bride definitely would have not enjoyed me, sneaking my phone to draft some players. Mm-hmm. But we kind of figured on, me and him actually together, figured it out that we'd be at the start, mid-reception, when the draft would be starting. So I just made sure I picked a table away from it all. And timeline-wise, I think the first 4 rounds happened well during the bride and groom dance, and a little bit trailed into then like the mother and father speeches. I was paying attention still.
Of course.
Because obviously, you know, my picks had a pretty decent length in between each other, so I was still paying attention. I will say there was one point in time when I forgot to check real quick because they were interacting with me, and I looked down at my phone real quick, and I made a very quick draft trade. I remember the player, Chase Claypool, who actually didn't finish on my team.
Wow.
But it was funny. It was one of those things where it was like, oh God, look down. Yeah, he works. So, but overall, it went pretty smoothly.
It sounds like it, and I mean, your draft is what carried you. I don't know exactly how many of your first picks really hit, but just to name a few: Joe Mixon, Josh Jacobs, Justin Jefferson, AJ Brown. Mm-hmm. Just stellar drafting that really showed up in the later part of the season, December and going into January as well. Just, was there a reason that you picked them? I just want to say that I had Mixon and Jacobs the year before, and I didn't win, but just saying, maybe there was a little strategy involved. I want to be like the commish, maybe.
Well, maybe. Obviously, Jefferson is probably top 2 wide receivers in the league. I think you had the other one, Jamar Chase. Mm-hmm. And I knew Jefferson was always good, and Brown had a pretty decent year last year. And honestly, they were kind of up and down this year in general anyways, until the playoffs where they kind of set straight in motion. So it was looking a little iffy. It was looking like I was doing one of those where a lot of players, you know, you draft the people who are really good last year rather than paying attention to what could potentially be going on this year. Mm-hmm. And then running backs, I've always liked Josh Jacobs, and I've always liked Joe Mixon. I actually had Joe Mixon in pretty much every league I've had that year, so it was good. But I agree with you a lot. Very much this year was all about my draft. I didn't make very many. I made a lot of waiver moves, but minor waiver moves. I didn't make a lot of trades. Versus last year, I remember David Montgomery was the big ad who kind of went off in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. So it was interesting to see how last year I won with that waiver move. He definitely helped out versus this year where it was just a solid draft in general.
Yeah. I think when it came down to the postseason for you, it wasn't anything spectacular. It was more about, you know, just face your opponent and get the job done. I believe you took down Liz in the semifinals, and then you beat your brother, Carter, who has yet to win. So from that perspective, you beat Will the year prior, and now you beat Carter. How does that feel? And do you have any message for Carter as well, or just bittersweet, I'm sure?
First, I just want to say Carter did a great job. He had a really good team. We kind of had a stinker in the finals anyways, so it's never fun to lose when you do bad.
Not as bad as the year prior.
Not as bad as the year prior.
So it wasn't improvement.
But it still wasn't very good. But I think honestly, it's just, I use the word vindicating because, you know, I've been where Carter's been before, where you've been to a finals. He's been twice now and lost twice. You know, 2-time something, 2-time loser.
As you were at one point.
I was at one point. So I've been there before, and I get where he's coming from. Just a Carter, I just, you know, keep trucking, bud. I'm sure it'll come. You're a good drafter. You're a good GM. You've had very good teams before, and then, you know, but it's just nice to have a win over both of them because, you know, I got heckled a lot for being there twice and losing.
There you go. It kind of settles who the alpha of the family is. So
yeah.
just saying.
Exactly.
So I guess we can go back to last year. How was your experience with the trophy in 2020 going into last year?
So going into last year, the experience was pretty good. We were still kind of in COVID.
Right.
So it wasn't, I couldn't do anything crazy. I did take it to Disney. I forgot it a few times to take it to parks. Plus it's more cumbersome than you think. I don't know how Will did it that one year. Just carried it around
the world.
Yeah, I think he did a smart thing. He just picked one day and he took it everywhere that one day, versus trying to constantly bring it. I don't know if I had that kind of commitment in me. Our Disney trips were kind of cut short too because we had some bad luck flying. So I was kind of in a rush, and it was me taking my lovely girlfriend to Disney for the first time. So I was more focused on that versus, you know, bringing the trophy everywhere. But it's definitely been on my shelf. You know, I dust it off every once in a while. Don't get it dusty. I've moved it a few times. Twisted a few times, depends on what kind of angle I'm feeling at that day.
Absolutely.
But, it just gazes upon me while I sleep, and I gaze it upon it while I fall asleep.
Well, I mean, it's great, and I mean, at least for this year, you have a second chance, really. Of all the missed opportunities maybe you had last year, you can really take advantage of it this year.
Yeah.
Any other things you want to mention? I think it was you got the job done this year, really, and the fact that you went from losing 2 championships to now being a back-to-back winner, joining Kelly from 2018 and 2019. Now you're also a back-to-back champion. Just how do you feel? It must feel pretty damn good.
It definitely feels good. Winning it once was pretty awesome, and winning it a second time was even better. It's even more fun doing it back to back. It's hard to kind of put into words. I don't know. It's a weird feeling because we've had it for so long. We're coming up on the 10th anniversary, which is wild to think about. That we're coming up on that, but we're coming up on our 10th anniversary, and we've had quite a few champions. I know I'm the 3rd double champion, but I'm only the 2nd back-to-back champion.
That's right.
And it has kind of been a domination run between me and Kelly these last 4 years. But I think it's all about consistency. I think that's my biggest thing. I don't, like I said, last year and this year were won very differently. I'm going to be real, I didn't think I was going to win this year. You and Lizzie had some pretty dominant teams, and I think you guys just ran into some bad luck. So I think we joke around. There is some skill, ability in knowing who to add, when to play, but a lot of it is just luck. And I've just been really lucky these last 2 years when it comes down to it.
Yeah, and when it comes down to it, no one can ever take away the fact that you are 2-time fantasy football champion.
Going for that 3rd time.
Going for the 3rd. Pressure's off, though, in my opinion. So you can just sit back and enjoy. Maybe let someone else win. Maybe coming up on 10 years of me winning, possibly.
Yeah.
We don't need to get into that at all. No. Well, thank you so much. Let's enjoy the rest of these drinks and just kick back at the turn and have a good time. For the rest of you, we'll see you at Labor Day. We're going to redraft. We're going to get back after it. Until next season, guys, I'm Kamish Davies. Cheers.
Sound good.
Thank you.